Before we begin, a quick note. The opinions and analysis shared on Truth Seekers are our own interpretations of published research and should not be used as medical, financial, or professional advice. Always consult qualified professionals for decisions affecting your health or well-being.
And with that out of the way, welcome to Truth Seekers. I'm Bill Morrison.
And I'm Alex Barrett. Today is March 24th, 2026, and we're talking about vibration plates, the TikTok fitness fantasy that doesn't add up.
Let's get to the truth.
So I was sent a TikTok this week, actually by about 4 different people, which is usually a sign I need to pay attention. And the claim is, I'm going to read this exactly as stated. You only have to do this for 10 minutes and it's like jogging for an hour. The this being standing on a vibration plate, just standing there.
I saw those videos too. One of them had 1.8 million views. And every time I see a fitness claim that involves the phrase minimal effort, something in my data brain just starts twitching.
Right, because that's the dream, isn't it? That's always the dream. You don't have to change what you eat. You don't have to go outside in the rain. You just stand on a wobbling platform for the length of a true crime podcast episode, and suddenly you're a jogger.
And look, I get why it's convincing. You step on one of these things and you feel your muscles firing involuntarily. There's a real physiological thing happening. Your body is genuinely reacting.
Right. The question is whether that reaction is doing what TikTok says it is, which is what we're here to find out. Now, these plates are everywhere. You can spend 80 quid on one, or apparently up to $3,500 on a clinical grade machine, and the influencers pushing them are making some quite extraordinary claims. Weight loss, muscle tone, fat melting away, all from standing still.
And here's the thing, there is actual peer-reviewed research on vibration plates. This isn't one of those topics where there's just nothing to look at. There's a 2019 systematic review and meta-analysis published in the Journal of Musculoskeletal and Neuronal Interactions that looked specifically at whole body vibration and fat mass. 6 or 7 controlled trials, I want to say.
7 controlled trials, 280 subjects total. Right, 7, thank you. And when you have a meta-analysis that specific, that's actually the most rigorous synthesis we have on this exact question, which is part of why the findings matter so much. Okay, walk me through it.
So, they looked at 2 main outcomes. First, absolute fat mass, actual kilograms of fat lost. And second, percentage body fat, which is the more meaningful metric. And what they found was a reduction of about 0.76 kilograms over 6 to 24 weeks of consistent use. The researchers called that statistically significant.
So the plates work?
Well, and this is where I need to be careful about how I frame this, because I don't want to bury the lead. The researchers themselves described that same result as clinically insignificant.
Okay, stop there, because I think that distinction is doing a lot of work and I want to make sure we don't just skate past it.
Yeah, fair. Because statistically significant and clinically insignificant sound like they should contradict each other, but you're presenting them as if they're just 2 sides of the same coin. And I think for most people listening, the study found a significant result is going to land as it works. You're right, I glossed over that.
It matters because the researchers are explicitly telling us, yes, we can detect this effect, and no, it doesn't actually matter in any practical sense. Those aren't 2 perspectives on the same finding. They're the scientists flagging that their own headline number is misleading.
Yeah, and the percentage body fat change, 0.61%, wasn't even statistically significant. So the only number that cleared the bar for statistical significance was the one the researchers themselves said was clinically meaningless. You're right that I undersold that gap.
Okay, good. Because I think that's actually the whole story right there.
It kind of is. And the individual studies make it even clearer. There's one from 2004, Rollins et al. 40 untrained women, 24 weeks of consistent whole body vibration. That's nearly 6 months. And the conclusion was, quote, did not reduce weight, total body fat, or subcutaneous fat.
6 months.
6 months of standing on a vibrating platform. Zero meaningful fat loss.
And then that research gets picked up, and somewhere along the way, it becomes a 10-second clip with upbeat audio saying 10 minutes is like jogging for an hour. I feel like we've sort of been here before. Didn't we do the backward walking episode? Same kind of thing?
The oxygen consumption one, yeah, where the real finding was something like a 17% increase in effort. And by the time it hit social media, it had turned into burns 40% more calories.
Right. Real effect, real data, completely transformed into something the numbers don't actually support. Same architecture.
Almost exactly. And here it's even more stark, because here it's not just exaggeration, it's a categories error. Because most of the studies that did show any positive result weren't testing passive standing. They were testing people actively doing squats and lunges on the vibration plate, combined with resistance training.
Which is a completely different thing to what TikTok is selling.
Completely different. And that's how the misinformation works. A study tests one thing, a headline reports a different thing, and by the time it's a 30-second video, it's become stand here, lose weight.
I watch this happen constantly when I was covering health stories. The nuance doesn't travel. You'd file something with 6 caveats, and the sub editor would put a headline on it that stripped out every single one because the caveats don't get clicks. And with affiliate links in the mix, there's actual financial incentive to keep stripping.
Which actually, the affiliate link thing takes me somewhere slightly adjacent. Can I just?
Go on.
Because I've been thinking about this since I started looking at these videos. The device quality issue gets completely glossed over. The clinical grade machines used in actual research, PowerPlate, Galileo, those kinds of devices, they're fundamentally different pieces of equipment from what most TikTok users are buying for 80 quid. Different frequency ranges, different amplitude, different build entirely. Right. And yet the influencer is standing on a consumer grade wobble board, linking to that same wobble board, collecting a commission every time someone clicks through. And the research they're implicitly invoking was done on equipment that costs 50 times more. It's not even apples and oranges, it's apples and a picture of an apple.
And even the clinical machines produced negligible fat loss in the studies.
Exactly. So the cheap version of the device that can't replicate the clinical conditions of research that already showed almost nothing. That's what people are buying.
Anyway, the energy math. Because I think this is where it becomes genuinely undeniable.
Right, yes. So there's a physicist named Rittweger who actually calculated the energy expenditure on this. A 70 kilogram person standing on a vibration plate burns approximately, and I want to make sure I get this right, 10 grams of fat per hour.
10 grams.
10 grams. So to lose 1 pound of fat, that's 454 grams, you'd need around 45 hours of vibration exposure.
And TikTok is telling people that 10 to 15 minutes a day is your workout.
So if you're doing 15 minutes a day, you're burning somewhere between 30 and 45 extra calories per session. A pound of fat is 3,500 calories. From the vibration plate alone, you're looking at somewhere between 78 and 117 days to lose a single pound. And that's assuming everything else stays exactly the same.
Which is a far cry from it's like jogging for an hour. Jogging burns what, 10 to 12 calories a minute?
About that, yeah. A vibration plate is 2 to 3. You're not even in the same conversation.
Okay, so I want to make sure we're actually being fair here because I don't want to just swing the pendulum all the way to these are useless. Is there anything about vibration plates that is genuinely legitimate?
Yes, and I think it's actually interesting. For elderly people, people with mobility limitations, rehabilitation settings, there's solid evidence for improvements in balance, postural stability, bone mineral density, and muscle activation in muscles that are otherwise hard to engage. That's real. That's well supported.
So it's quite genuinely useful in those contexts.
It is. The issue isn't that vibration plates don't do anything. The issue is that helps a 70-year-old with balance and fall prevention got transformed into a passive weight loss hack for everyone.
Right, okay. And Dr. Jason Sawyer from Bryant University, he studied this during his PhD research, specifically said that once you reach a certain level of fitness, the additive effect basically disappears. If you're already reasonably active, standing on a vibration plate isn't going to move the needle. And there's something else here that I don't think gets enough attention, which is why people feel like it's working because your muscles really are contracting involuntarily. You step off one of those things and your legs feel like they've done something. That sensation is real.
It is. But acute muscle activation is not the same as the kind of sustained metabolic demand that actually changes body composition.
Which is a distinction no one is making in these videos. You feel something, so you assume it's working. And the product is essentially creating its own evidence in the user's body, even when the outcome data doesn't back it up.
And the researchers flagged that most of the studies couldn't blind participants. You obviously know when you're on something that's vibrating versus when you're not. So there's real potential for placebo effect inflating whatever positive results did appear,
Hmm.
which is a legitimate methodological limitation. It doesn't mean the studies are worthless, it just means the positive numbers should be read conservatively, and they were already tiny.
So, what do we actually take away from all of this?
Vibration plates are not a scam in every context. They have legitimate, evidence backed uses. But the TikTok claim, stand here passively for 10 minutes and match an hour of jogging, is not supported by any research. Mathematically, it's impossible. The energy expenditure doesn't come close.
And if you've already bought one, you don't need to throw it out, but use it the way the evidence supports, as a supplement to actual exercise, not a replacement for it. The people telling you that you don't need to change your diet or your activity levels are, I'm sorry to say, the people with an affiliate link in their bio.
The honest version of what vibration plates can do is genuinely interesting. The dishonest version is what went viral. And that gap between the real thing and the sellable thing is exactly what we're here to close.
Standing still doesn't slim you down. It doesn't matter how hard you're vibrating. Right, that's all for today's dive into the data. Just remember, everything we've discussed is our interpretation of published research and shouldn't replace professional medical advice.
Absolutely. If you're dealing with health or mental concerns, talk to your doctor, not just us data nerds on a podcast.
I'm Alex Barrett,
And I'm Bill Morrison
and we'll see you next time.
on Truth Seekers.
Until then, question everything.
But verify with data.